our Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, Father and lover of our soul, you sit on your throne of mercy and rule with your love and faithfulness. You are full of grace. We acknowledge your presence in our lives. Nothing is hidden in your eyes, even our challenges and struggles in life. We come to you with faith. We ask not only for our daily spiritual bread, but to seek your forgiveness and undeserving favor to heal our land, our family members, our friends and neighbors, even our enemies with COVID-19 and other diseases. Holy Spirit, help us to deepen our faith and see the opportunity to believe, obey, and worship. As we face this pandemic, you are Lord and God. Encourage us and change our hearts, not to fear, but to be full of hope and find ourselves praying and meditating your word. We believe no works of the enemy prosper to your children. Abba, Father, we believe that your Son Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. He is the truth and our salvation. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and most of all, not our will, but thy will be done. We pray this in Jesus' name, the name above all names, who was and is to come. Amen.
The views and opinions of the producers, hosts, and guests in the show do not directly reflect the official stand and policies of the management, the network, and the company. Evolving your communities to be the linking, bigger, and preferred group, growing and scaling, becoming bigger and better. Let us build out these business milestones for your company as we lead you to amplify and reach out and engage here at Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network Season 3, hosted by direct selling sensei Jojo Barakias and ASEAN EduTech leader Dr. Alex Reyes, co-hosted by Organizational Development Network champion Maricar Sandalo, and we have digital culture and lifestyle coach Joshua Ravales, with the founding anchor, business and transformation mentor Rolly Pagaspas. So now, take your journey, lead the pack, and unleash your power while we do the rest of the work for the CEOs, communities, and sustainability of Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network, now on its Season 3.
Good more earnings, Business Philippines. Welcome to the 25th season of Talk.Shop.Asia, the Philippines' longest-running digital business show. Now on its 7th year, it has transformed from a business show to a program builder, communities network, event organizer, and digital media producer, all in one capsule. This is Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network, Season 3, Episode 7, representing the Power Group 7. Now, this is Jojo Barakias, your anchor for today's show. Now, let me call on my co-hosts, my co-anchor, Dr. Alex Reyes, and co-host Joshua Rabelas.
Great day,
Hello.
everyone.
Hey, good afternoon. Maayong hapon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Hello, TSA community. Hello, Jojo and Joshua. Great to be here again. Shout out to my Shiro, my family in Texas, and to my Sunrise. We are in the 3rd season of Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network. We ought to give you more powerful features, more powerful group mix to spearhead information for engagement, collaborations, and partnerships. By the way, we are airing in 2 platforms, Facebook and YouTube, and in 3 major channels, Talk.Shop.Asia, our home studio, and Big Media and ATC International. Over to you, Joshua.
Yes, and joining us this week on our special power feature, which will be the first segment in this show for the first time. And we'll be joined by 2 beautiful guests. One is climate and Conservation Communicator and ASEAN Coordinator for 30 by 30 Southeast Asian Coalition Campaign, Ms. Netanya Escote, and we're also joined by the campaign lead of 30 by 30 and conservation and tourism professional, Jamie Dichaves. So stay tuned, guys. Over to you, Sir Jojo.
Okay. Before I introduce our Power CEO guest, can we have a short intro about our community mic guest, Dr. Alex?
Oh, yes. It's all about yumminess in a bottle. We will have a mouth-watering afternoon. I think perfect for pasta, snack time with Puro. Looking forward to hear more of Puro, of course, with our official Tindero, Buddy Isleta.
Okay,
Sounds
for our
nice.
Power CEO segment, we have a very great guest, I should say. So she will tell us about her humble beginnings and all the way up the corporate ladder to become a chief executive officer, managing director, managing many countries, no, including the tough ones like Kazakhstan. And
Wow.
yes, and then she is now into some kind of advocacy work and all exciting later on. So stay tuned. So let's pause for a break and we will be back with our special feature segment.
Yes. See you guys.
Yay.
We'll be right back, only here at Talk Shop Asia Power Network.
Here now is the program for the millennials that will showcase young professionals' worth, aspirations, and successes in doing what they believe is right, progressive, and inclusive. Join them as they discover the path to self and societal fulfillment while making a difference. Hosted by empowered and cool millennial Erica Mizon, together with her fellow millennials, they will be making a difference. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Welcome to Pride and Proud Asia, Asia's first online radio show that champions LGBT contribution and leadership in business and in our country and the region. Hosted by the Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce, visibility, representation, and empowerment. This is Pride and Proud Asia. Happy Pride!
It's a tough business out there. So many uncertainties, operational difficulties, deadlines. We provide the solutions and services that your company needs at the best price, guaranteed, with our global principles. And experienced partners, we bring solutions to your current and future business. Involution, supporting your business as always. Taking our journey, leading the pack, unleashing your power. And we are back here at Talk Shop Asia Power Network. Sustainability brings forth long stages of progress. That is power in four pillars: economic, people, social, and environment. Doing business while staging support for corporate responsibility. And that makes it special. On these, we now bring to you our special power feature.
Good more earnings, Business Philippines. We are now at our special power feature, and that will be hosted by Joshua Rabelas.
Great day, everyone. Welcome back to the special power feature segment. My name is Joshua Velas, your digital culture and lifestyle coach. And we're back with another update for this. And we'll be joined by two beautiful guests. One is a climate conservation communicator and ASEAN coordinator of 30 by 30 Southeast Asian Coalition campaign. Her name's Netanya Escote. And the next is the campaign lead of 30 by 30 and conservation of and tourism professional, Miss Jamie Dichaves. So before we get to them, roll VTR please. Hey everyone, welcome back to the special power feature segment. And bringing into the stage, please welcome Miss Jamie De Chavez and at the same time Netanya Escote. Hello guys. Welcome
Hi.
to the special power feature guys. I really loved your video. It's really inspiring as well because the environment right now we really need a change and at the same time we also need to find a way to take good care of it and I'm really thankful that 30 by 30 is already doing one of these campaigns to help the environment and at the same time before we get started, I'd like to ask, what is 30 by 30 and why do we need it?
So 30 by 30 essentially is the target for us to conserve 30% of the Earth's land and water forms by 2030. So this is like the third target of the 21 targets of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. And at the moment, globally, only about 16.44% of land and less than 8% of the ocean is protected. And zooming into the Philippines, we only have about 15% of land and less than 2% of the ocean that is protected. So why do we want and why do we need 30 by 30? Well, we do have a lot of overwhelming scientific and economic data that points to how important this is for us to do. And we boil it down to three basic factors. One, because we want to stop global biodiversity loss. Second is because we want to be able to have a chance at boosting economic revival. And the third is to provide climate resiliency. So let's take that one by one. For stopping biodiversity loss, so how much of our biodiversity are we losing at the moment? So if you look at all the studies, it points to us that about 25% of the known species on Earth are actually facing extinction. They're really threatened. And that is about 1 million species in total. And it's a lot. If you look at the
Yes.
historical data, it also points to the fact that having this many threatened species means that it is about between 100 to about 1,000 times more than the quote unquote normal extinction rates that we've been experiencing from the past. And so a lot of studies are showing that conserving at least 30% of land in strategic locations can actually reduce the extinction risk of nearly 9 out of 10 threatened terrestrial species. And if we halt biodiversity loss, it also means that we have a better chance of preventing future pandemics. How does that happen? Well, the higher biodiversity we have, then the more chances we also have of having natural protection from dangerous pathogens that could potentially go jump to us humans. So that's the first part for
That's true.
biodiversity. The second is for economic revival. A lot of people also think that saving biodiversity is costly. We shouldn't do that. We should just focus on businesses. But in fact, it's not that costly. First, if the need is somewhere around 700 billion US dollars, and if you look at that figure, if you think about that figure, it's a lot. But if
It
you
is.
also but if you also compare it with the global GDP, it's about less than 1%. So
Yeah.
and that's for saving biodiversity. And
Mm-hmm.
studies also show that the benefits even outweigh the costs by a ratio of 5 to 1. So you see how we need to spend less than 1% of GDP, but then we get about 5 times more benefits from it. So a McKinsey report also found that it could potentially support 30 million jobs, and directly adding about 650 new jobs for conservation. So it's a lot, and it will really help us, especially places like ours in the global south that are still trying to get out of the pandemic. And
Mm.
third, to provide climate resiliency, a lot of people also think that the climate crisis is separate from the biodiversity crisis, but in fact, they're two sides of the same coin. And so the solution is also two sides of the same coin. Myanmar, Thailand, and the Philippines are the most consistently vulnerable countries on the planet to extreme climate events since 1999. And in the Philippines alone, the most recent devastation we experienced was in December with Odette,
Yes,
and
that's
it's
true.
flattened so many provinces, all the way from Palawan to from Mindanao all the way to Palawan. And I've been living in Palawan since 2012, about 10 years now. And even from before, a lot of the locals have been saying that this place only gets hit by typhoons about once every 10 years. This is actually the safest place in the Philippines because we are not part of the typhoon belt, supposedly, and we are also not in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which means there are no earthquakes here. But then
Mm-hmm.
from previous experiences of having only one typhoon every 10 years, for the past 10 years that I've been here, I've experienced about five at
I
least,
see.
and they're really bad. They've caused so much devastation and floods, and cut off clean water sources for people, and so on and so forth. But we also notice is that areas with intact mangroves and forest areas were actually spared from the worst of it. So having
Mm-hmm.
good good biodiversity and being able to conserve uh, vast tracts of spaces for forests, for natural forests, for natural mangrove area, for biodiversity in general, leads to also climate resiliency.
I see. So far, I'm also a bit curious. Why is there a Southeast Asian coalition, and what are your goals for
So
this?
yeah, thank you for that question. So when we started this campaign, it was only started more or less in July of 2021. Not a lot of people were talking about 30 by 30 in the Philippines. And then we also noticed that not a lot of people were talking about 30 by 30 also across Southeast Asia. And that's quite unusual because that was already 2021. And this target is part of the global biodiversity framework that is supposed to be discussed by governments back in 2020, which means that governments who are
Mm-hmm.
in charge of doing the negotiations aren't even bringing the conversations down to their citizens. And so we needed that to change. And it's very important for the ASEAN to also take part of the conversation because while the ASEAN only takes up about 3% of the world's total landmass, it holds about 20% of the global biodiversity. And we have three of the 17 megadiverse countries, which are Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. But sadly, we are also home to about 4 of the 25 global hotspots for biodiversity, which means if you say a place is a hotspot, it means there is high biodiversity, but it is also threatened with a lot of destruction that
Mm-hmm.
could potentially derail and even cause much more extinction. And then zooming into the Philippines, we started the work in the Philippines because first we are Filipinos,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes, that's
also
true.
because yeah, and also because of the fact that the Philippines, not a lot of people, not a lot of the Filipinos know this, but it is actually the center of global marine biodiversity in the world. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are familiar with the Coral Triangle, but the Coral Triangle is like the center of marine biodiversity in the world. And then the center of that is in the Philippines, and in particular in Verde Island, which is so near Manila. It is in between
Wow.
Batangas and Mindoro. It's that near. And we have about 45, at least 45 genera of coral species, which is so much more than what you can find in the Great Barrier Reef. And yet a lot of people are raving about the Great Barrier Reef. So we have a lot to save, but we are also faced with a lot of problems. And the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines also harbors the highest concentration of vertebrate diversity on Earth. Here we have more than 150 species of palms, and then we have more than 600 species of birds, and about a quarter of that is even endemic here, or you can only find them here in the Philippines and nowhere else. So it's really, really important for us to be able to do as much as we can to save the places where our biodiversity is, and the Philippines and the rest of the ASEAN definitely needs to be part of that conversation.
That's
So
true.
yeah, so in terms of the goals, I'll pass you on to Netanya to talk more about that because I've been rambling on and on about so many things already.
It's no problem. Miss Netanya,
Right.
please.
So with that, with everything that Jamie said, really the campaign's goals, there's three main pillars that we have and that we're pushing for. So in line with everything that Jamie said, the first one is to clearly get the ASEAN governments, especially the three mega diverse countries governments, including ours, to sign on to the High Ambition Coalition. So on top of our countries already agreeing and being aligned with this they're finalizing the global biodiversity framework. Another layer of commitment and accountability would be if they signed on to the High Ambition Coalition. And so at the moment, within the ASEAN, there's 10 of us, 10 countries, and only one has signed on, which is Cambodia. And with everything that Jamie said, these three mega diverse countries like ours that are full of endemic species and great biodiversity, none of these three countries have signed on just yet. So that means Malaysia, Indonesia, and us have not really shown full commitment that we are going to be having this discussion about adding on to that 30% global target or anything like that. So that's our first goal. Our second one is really another important pillar of the kind of conservation that we want to push for and advocate for. So it's to include indigenous peoples and local communities, and so that can be expressed. That level of support and prioritization can be shown in different ways. So
Mm-hmm.
first is to really have it in the text. So the formal text to begin with, all these policies, it has to be included there for it to, for us to expect it to trickle down at the grassroots level. It has to be in the law. It has to be on text. And so we're really pushing for standards such as free, prior, and informed consent to be included when we talk about doing conservation efforts
Mm-hmm.
in places like the Philippines. So are these indigenous peoples going to be not just recognized, but also included, and their leadership, their traditional knowledge to also be taken into consideration when we do these kinds of conservation measures? And the third one is to also talk about the access to resources and financial mechanisms for grassroots organizations and also indigenous peoples. And so there's a lot of funding promised, and pledged by the global north. A lot of developed countries are like, Bill Gates, there's a lot of money being talked about, being pushed for environmentalism and in climate adaptation or even conservation. But how is that going to trickle down? Is it going to be done in an equitable manner, in a fair manner, and distributed to the right people within the right time frames? And so those are the three things that we are pushing for when we are discussing with our representatives, with other organizations, and when we also discuss and try to pay attention to what's happening in the global biodiversity framework negotiations.
I see.
So yeah, those are
And
the three.
yes, and those are really good pointers as well. And you did mention some indigenous people. So Could you tell me something short about them? And I have another question with that. Isn't a rights based approach to conservation the norm for these things? Yeah.
No, it's actually it's not. We've noticed that with the conservation measures that have been happening all across the world, especially in the global south, indigenous peoples have not been included. There was this global witness report that comes out every year that talks about the environmental and land defenders of the planet, and the Philippines actually ranked number one in Asia for the most amount of environmental defenders killed. And what we know, and they're second on the planet as of 2020, and a third of those are indigenous peoples. And that's really striking because indigenous peoples are only 5% of global population, and they're already a third of the targeted environmental defenders. And we know that they're looking after and overlooking up to 80% of the biodiversity that we still have today. And so pushing for rights-based approach, a human rights-based method of doing conservation is certainly something that is new, and we've been neglecting and displacing them. And so in the Philippines, we're quite lucky already because we have the IPRA law. So we do have laws and bills that allow them to have a level of representation, and also we have Congress and Senate, for the indigenous and community conserved areas. We recognize that, but that doesn't exist in many countries that where we have indigenous peoples also struggling. And so we're hoping to be able to ensure that these kinds of laws like the IPRA law or even the United Nations DRIP law as well would be able to be something we see at the ground level, and it's not just in policies.
I see. And I have two more questions for that because since these are already opened up, how are you campaigning for 30 by 30 and who can join the coalition for this?
So yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
basically we do three things. First is we lobby, second is we try to communicate, and third is we build the coalition. So for lobbying, we involve ourselves in a lot of the conversations that are happening at the global level and also at the local level. And then we also try to bridge the gap between what our grassroots communities need and what the policies are in place. And then next is we believe that a strong communications platform and a strong communications arm is essential in making sure that the messages that we bring out there are really heard and they are consistent. And so we have a lot of materials that are available for everyone to use, especially for coalition members. Everything that we post in our website and our social media accounts, they're all free for coalition members to use. And so that brings me to the third, which is coalition building. We believe that coalitions are really helpful in pushing forth lobbying anything we lobby for, because with coalitions we are able to work together, we are able to take into account several stakeholders and their perspectives and their needs, and bring that forward to where it is needed so that there is appropriate action to be taken. And at the same time, coalition members can also help the governments in implementing all of the projects that are implementing. If, for example, we become successful in the lobbying work that we do, then the implementation comes after, then we'll also be there to be able to help out. And how do you join the coalition? It's actually very simple. You can be an organization, you can be an individual. If everything that we've said so far aligns with your values and with your organization's values, then we invite you to come join us. Please visit our website, www.30by30c.org. You can also scan the QR code that you can see in your screens. It will lead you directly to the form that we have. It's a very simple form. We just need to, of course, ask for a couple of your details, because we do hold general assemblies so that we can update everyone and we can talk about how we can work together. So at the moment, we have more than 200 coalition members. We're very lucky, and more than 30 organizations have taken part from the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia. And we'd love to have more of you so that we can all work together towards this common goal.
Yes, indeed. And if you guys want to join, please scan the QR code right in front of the screen. And if you guys want more information, you can also visit their website right now. So if you guys also have any more questions, feel free to comment on the comment section below as well. First off, I'd like to thank Miss Jamie Dichaves and Miss Netanya Escote for enlightening us with 30 by 30. And at the same time, to some of the problems and challenges that we face along with climate change. And I really like the way that you've explained it. And at the same time, I hope that the campaigns that you guys have are successful.
Thank
And
you.
since we don't have much time, sorry to say, we'll be back with more of these fine ladies later by the Miss Universe question. And at the same time, if you also want more information about them, you can also visit their website once again. And if you guys would also need more information, you can also rewatch this episode as well. So before I end this one, I'd like to thank Miss Jamie and Miss Netanya for enlightening us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I hope that I get to interview you guys more when your campaign goes further. And at the same time, of course, to you guys, our dear viewers, thank you so much for your time in viewing our episode. And we'll be back with the community mic segment. So stay tuned. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Miss
Thank
Jamie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
you
Miss
as
Tanya.
well.
We'll see you later.
We'll be right back, only here at Talk Shop Asia Power Network.
Get into the treasure trove of undiscovered music through Napalm, your new all Pinoy alternative music. Whether it's rock, metal, reggae, soul, or pop, we have it covered. Napalm features upcoming Pinoy artists and musicians, hosted by Lace Jimenez and Thunder God Bernard. So sit back and relax and enjoy Napalm, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Malayo ang tingin. Malayo ba ang tingin mo? Sa hinihintay mong tricycle, uwing-uwi ka na ba? Kaya pa ng legs mo. Tricycle hailing app Para Hero is here to serve you. Through the Para Hero mobile app, you can easily book your tricycle ride within your community all day, every day. So whether you're at home, your favorite place, or gusto mo na talagang umuwi, ora mismo, Para Hero app is here for you. Just download Para Hero mobile app in Google Play. Register, it's that easy, and you're ready to book. Para Hero is initially available in BF Homes Parañaque and Las Piñas area. But soon, sa community mo din, malapit na po, Para Hero, para sa pasahero. Taking our journey, leading the pack, unleashing your power. And we are back here at Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network. Communities are powered by their number and cause. Representing their handles, they raise and make known their stand. Now, we shall hear their voice and power speak on their brands. Here now is our Brand Power Community Mic segment.
Good more earnings, Business Philippines. We are now in the community mic segment, no? And our guest is offering one of the additions, no, to make great food. But to discuss that, I will let me call on our co-anchor, Dr. Alex Reyes.
Hi, Jo.
Hi, Dr.
Wow,
Alex.
the segment was really awesome. Ang galing ng dalawang girls. So ngayon naman,
Yes.
it's about food. So, in order to promulgate awareness, we have the community mic segment where we highlight businesses that wish to scale and grow. So, let us watch this. Wala pa yata yung video. Ayan.
Just found the super puro sarap taba ng talangka and it's so mura.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Really good, ma'am.
Super.
How did you like it?
No, really super.
Welcome once again to the part of the program, the Community Mic segment, where the voice of the community resonates with the voice of the industry. Today, we have with us the CEO of Puro. Nakita naman natin na sobrang sarap na kanyang mga binibenta. They sell the yummiest taba ng talangka ever, as well as other bottled goods that are equally the yummiest. We are lucky to have with us Buddy Isleta today. He's Puro's official Tindero.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
Buddy.
everyone.
Hi,
Thanks for having
Buddy.
me.
Yes, Buddy. Grabe yung video mo. I was just like watching it. My mouth is watering already. Gutom, parang nagutom na ako, no? Kasi snack time ngayon. So anyway, before we get ahead of ourselves, you know, my mouth is already watering. But of course, we'd like to know your journey as an entrepreneur. Take us to the, how you started, what was the inspiration behind Puro, and where did you get the name?
When actually, it's we grew up. Me and my wife, we grew up with Tawanan Talanta. So we did, of course, we did sell it right off the bat. So we just grew up with it. We always had it in the house. It was a staple in the house, and we didn't used to always go home to Pampanga to be able. And whenever we'd run out in the house, we try the ones that we see in the market, and we always end up getting disappointed. And that was the initial idea when my wife asked me, siguro pwede natin ibenta yung sa atin, no? Kasi we were always, of course, always looking for, every time we'd run out, we'd try and look for the ones at least nearest to the ones that we have in the house. And parating either they have extenders or we don't like how they cook it. So that was the initial idea that was when we initially had the idea of being able to sell it. And then I have a printing press. That was my main business before, and actually up to now. Pero mas naging main na yung food. And every year we'd always give out personalized printed materials, greeting cards, gift wrappers, calendars, notepads, etc. And then year 2016 came, and I ran out of ideas kasi we don't repeat the gifts. Kunyari, we gave out gift cards already. We don't give them away again the following year or or in the future. So I ran out of ideas and I asked my wife, ano na ibibigay natin? So my wife, ba't hindi natin ipamigay yung taba ng talangka? Kasi we always had them. So Christmas 2016, that's what we gave out to our friends. And then those who received it, nagalit sa amin, bakit hindi nyo ito binibenta? Hindi naman pwedeng hingi na lang kami ng hingi sa inyo. Tapos kami, natawa lang kami kasi we weren't really seriously thinking about selling it pa at the time. And then one of those who received it, one of those who received the gift, posted us after New Year. Parang sinabi pa nila, super sarap, and then you can order from Buddy and Noreen, my wife. Tapos nagulat kami kasi we weren't really selling it. Yeah, we weren't really selling it. Yeah, nagulat kami. So, nagtingin kami ng wife ko kasi ang dami nag-order, ang dami nag-comment na how to order, tapos nag-order ng mga quantities nila. And then, so, nagtingin kami ng wife ko, you wanna try? Sige, tapos eksakto, naubos nga yung stash namin kasi we gave them away. Yung mother-in-law ko, my wife's mom, was scheduled to go home to replenish. So, you want? I'll buy for for you to sell. So, sinabay namin, and then that's when it started. So, initially we started with pre-orders. Actually, ang pinakaunang, I remember the first quantity, we had 22 orders, pinakauna namin. And each and every one of them, ang initial tagline ko was, makakalimutan mo ang pangalan mo sa sarap when I was marketing it. And then when the first batch got there, when the first batch got their jars,
I want to taste it.
lahat sila, the first people who received their orders, each and every one of them, as in 100% of them, nagmura, napamura, minura kami, as in different kinds of explicit words were thrown at us. Tapos, dun ko pinalitan yung tagline namin from makakalimutan mo yung pangalan mo to mapapamura ka sa sarap. Kasi totoo, napamura yung mga tao sa sarap. And then, hopefully, mapamura rin. We'll send you jars. So, and then, the people announced that they got their jars, and then people ordered again, and then so we gathered more orders for the second batch, and then it went on pre-orders up to I think the third batch. After the third batch, we started producing regularly na weekly, 50 jars a week, and then parang nag-balloon siya up to pre-pandemic. We were already at about 2,000 to 2,500 jars a month. Ayun,
Wow,
tapos bumami yung resellers namin. Okay, swerte kami. We were super blessed, especially when we were started. Si Sir Rolly knows about the story about how we started. He was there when we started. He was right in the middle of when we were we were scaling up. Ang galing eh. Tapos he was also able to help us scale up our business. He gave us very good pointers. So yun, and then we just started gaining more resellers, distributors, and then we started when the pandemic started, tinamaan din kami, and that's when we started adding our other products. Kasi all our products are heirloom recipes from my wife's great-grandmother, who is Kapampangan. Yes, and then yung father side naman is from Nueva Ecija.
Original yung recipes. Anyway, let us look at the products naman. Let's look at the products and walk us through them. I think we can flash it on screen. And tell me which one is your favorite while we're looking at the products. So this one.
Actually, this is our very first product. We started selling this 2017, end of February. We were blessed to have so many supporters, and Margarita Forres even discovered us early on. And since she discovered us in 2017, she's been using our products for her restaurants and for her
I love her
catering.
Restaurant.
Yes, sobra. Sinabi niya pa sa amin that kami yung favorite niya na taba ng talangka. So, talagang super proud kami, and this is our flagship product talaga. It's 100% and it's really good. No extenders.
What's the next product? Let us see.
this is the next product that we launched. That we launched this May 2020 when the pandemic started, and this is also an heirloom product. And ito ano to, it's equally
Kikiligin sa sarap.
it's equally sweet and sour. Magugulat
Oh,
ka, makikiligin ka, pero masasarapan ka. So, talagang nakakakilig siya sa sarap.
and then the next product that we have, let's
This
see.
is
Kung
this
ano
is
pa.
another favorite. That's one of the all these, including of course, including the first two. Whenever people come over, they always ask for these: the acharang manga, the taba ng talangka, and this balo balo. This is fermented shrimp in rice. So this is
Oh, yummy. I
super
love
umami.
this.
This is creamy. This is really smooth and very talagang it's really savory, more savory than tart. Pero it's still
I
tart.
love
Masarap.
I love this with roasted eggplants. I think
Ay,
I've
nako.
tried this with roasted
Yes.
eggplants.
And
It's so
you
good.
should try it with chicharon. Instead of suka, use burong hipa.
Oh my God. That's gonna
Sobrang
bring
sarap
me right.
talaga.
Sobrang sarap. Mabibigla ka talaga sa sarap.
Talaga,
Anyway,
magugulat ka.
ano pang meron? Let's see.
This is our latest product, and it's also we launched this late last year, and this is also one of the sought after food in the house. Actually, we used to always just make this during Christmas. Tapos naisip namin late last year nung papasok na yung Christmas. How about we sell that also? So it has very chewy pandan jelly. And then yung meat niyan talagang we carefully select them na perfect yung niya, yung tenderness niya, not too hard, not too soft. We reject the ones that are too soft or too hard. Tapos yung sweetness niya talaga sakto lang. It's not too sweet. It's really very creamy. So some people
Oh,
say
yeah.
it's almost like ice cream. So one of the
Wow,
favorites
wow.
also.
I'd love to try this. My favorite is buko jello, lychee,
Oh,
lychee. Yes, yes, I love it. So parang
pwede to,
ganito din
pwede.
siya. Pwedeng-pwede, di ba? So,
Yes.
let's see ano pang meron. Nakakatakam naman. Pang snack time talaga.
These are the top sellers, the one that
So you're
the one that
showing
we
the top
shown.
products. Okay, so my
Yes.
question is, where can we find your products?
We are online. We have a Facebook account. We have Puro, and it's at Puro TNT on Facebook and IG. And we are located in Merville, in Parañaque, and we have several resellers in and around Metro Manila. We have in Bulacan, in Caloocan, in Makati. So we pretty much covered the whole of Metro Manila. So kahit saan kayo, pwede namin i-deliveran na hindi mahal yung delivery fee. Basta covered ng Lalamove. Tapos kung hindi covered ng Lalamove, we can deliver to you via LBC and other
Okay.
couriers.
If I live in Visayas or Mindanao, I can just order and call your number and just ask you
Yes.
to send it to Mindanao, okay? Because I
Yes.
actually live in Mindanao,
Oh,
but
yes,
I
we
don't
can
think
deliver to you.
that would survive. I don't know how you're
Ay,
gonna put
yun
the
lang.
ice all over it.
The ones,
Yes,
the ones, the ones that
matataba
need,
ng talangka.
yes, that can survive. The ones that need
Yes.
refrigeration are the acharang manga and the buko pandan. Yun kailangan
Oh,
hand carried via airplane. So,
but I see that the taba ng talangka would be perfect. Yung sa kamatis din, I saw that.
yes, we have the
I
salsa.
think they're really yummy. And the one with cheese, masarap. So,
Yes,
how do you become a reseller? If I want to be a reseller, since I live in Mindanao area, how can I become a reseller?
you just need
Or
to
Visayas area?
either buy a box of our tabanang talangka, the 220-gram jar, or you buy 8,000 pesos worth of goods, and
Okay.
we'll send you your goods, and you can start selling, and we'll announce you, and we'll endorse customers to you.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So with 8,000 pesos, may negosyo ka na, di ba?
Yes,
Pero
yes.
walang kainin, wag may try kasi baka mapapamura ka sa sarap and hindi mo
Yes, yes.
benta. So, um, how you said that you were able to sell a lot during the pandemic. So any words of encouragement to people undergoing challenges, with their products?
Actually, when the pandemic started, kasi yung style ko of selling was very happy, very, yung sumisigaw, very, makulit yung style ko. So
Yes.
when the pandemic started, di ba, we were also grim, unsure of the future. People were so sad, we're uncertain. So ako, parang nahiya ako to sell it. That was actually my initial challenge when the pandemic started. So we stopped. Although I stopped posting advertisements on social media. Pero when people call us or message us to order, we still serve them kasi we didn't stop selling naman. Pero nahiya lang
That's
kasi
good.
nga ako because my style of advertisements. Until I spoke to Margarita Forres and then she told me,
Yes.
why do you stop selling? Hindi pwede kasi people need you. Maraming sarado. So that's when I slowly started posting advertisements again. So ang nangyari nga talaga, nagulat ako, ang dami palang may gusto. Kasi nga, ang inisip ko lang, people were really holding on to their money. And we weren't priority in pantry or in
Yes.
we're more of indulging. We're not really a staple in people's in homes kitchens eh. So unti-unti I started posting again, I started offering it to people. And then nagulat ako, ang dami pala nag-order pa rin, marami pa rin mahilig. Ayun, so parang ang naisip ko lang during the pandemic was, although we were up to now actually, we're only at 30 to 40% of our pre-pandemic sales eh. Pero we survived. Tapos ang nangyari talaga, post lang ng post, hindi nangulit lang talaga ako ng nangulit. I kept on posting because I joined food groups para I can post there and advertise my products. Tapos I kept on posting there for awareness and for also, of course, so that people can order from us. Tapos maraming times din kasi nga mga online sellers, highly dependent on likes and comments. So marami akong mga kagrupo na online vendors, food vendors, na pag hindi sila wala masyadong engagement yung yung posts nila. They get disheartened kasi feeling nila walang pumapansin sila. Pero ako kasi ganun din ako hindi masyadong engaged yung posts ko. Pero ang laki ng difference in sales when I post advertisements and when I don't, because I'm also human. Kasi ako, I do everything eh. I do all, my wife does all the cooking. She's a talent, she's a superstar. Ako, I just sell it. So, siya nagluluto. Payat ako noon, by the way. And ako
So
lang ang
tumaba ka
nagbebenta.
na dahil sa ng
Yes.
talangka sa kakakil.
Yes.
I know.
Nakakaluto niya.
So
Sobrang sarap kasi magluto
that's
ng wife
that's
ko.
so great, buddy. So my question is, how do we contact and find you?
Our mobile number is 0917-863-0107. So you can call or text us there. We have WhatsApp, we have Viber, we have Telegram, we have and we have, of course, our social media pages in Facebook and IG. We also have TikTok. You can message us there also, and we'll serve you kahit saan kayo. We will deliver to you.
That's awesome, buddy. There you have it, TSA Power Network community. If you wish to have the most puro and yummiest taba ng talangka, look for buddies that is yummy in a bottle. Sinful but truly flavorful is what I can sum it up. Don't go away, community, my friends, and buddy, don't go away. It was indeed fun
Thank you.
having you. We'll see you at our panel discussion, and you'll be right back with our Power CEO feature. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.
We'll be right back, only here at Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network.
SMEs are the backbone of the Philippine economy. Union Bank has laid down the groundwork for creating an ecosystem helping businesses through an integrated user experience connecting key stakeholders in the ecosystem. SMEs can now have immediate access to financial service providers, points of sale or POS, accounting, inventory, human resources, tax and payroll services, supply chain management, and providing business communities and engagement in B2B and B2C marketplaces. In building that ecosystem, Union Bank Global Linker was born. It's an online platform with social networking capabilities that help SMEs manage and grow their businesses. On their first year of launch, they already have 33,000 SMEs signed up in the platform. Their promise? To become a one-stop hub for business owners. 4 pillars. Network with potential partners and suppliers from a global network of SMEs. Engage with thought leaders and create your own topics for discussion. Avail exclusive deals and offers from business solutions that will help aid an SME's business. Create a DIY e-commerce shop. Linker.store.
I think one major role that Global Linker plays is its ability to create a digital platform that for business growth. It's a huge help because it provides for an avenue where businesses can interact, learn, and at the same time expand their networks.
Well, as a social media platform, Global Linker helps build the community of SMEs and link them to the right markets, suppliers, financiers, and advisors.
I've actually established a contact in Philippines who is interested in my product, and we are working on ways how we can do that. So hopefully, it materializes.
The future of the SME sector in the Philippines is endless. With fintech, business growth can accelerate by breaking down barriers, setting up important connections, and moving daily activities. Success is definite. It's just waiting to happen. The growth of SME filters to all levels of the Philippine society. This sector employs more than 60% of Filipinos. So many lives will be transformed with the success of SMEs. Union Bank Global Linker will be there to make it happen.
Big Media is all about life's journey.
Yung mga yun, mga bata pa sila dati nung nakakasama ko sila. So ngayon, sikat na sila.
In digital. Entertainment.
Maraming salamat po na nabigyan nyo kami ng opportunity.
Information, story, inspiration, and experiences. Whenever, wherever you want, welcome. Join us as we push the boundaries of possibility here with Big Media. Taking our journey, leading the pack, unleashing your power. And we are back here at Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network. He maneuvers the corporate drive and inspires all. He plans deep and brings out the whole. Now, he will storytell his journey and share the whys of the call. Yes, he is always ready to take action and roll the ball. Presenting our CEO highlight of the week.
Good morning, earnings, Business Philippines. Yeah, we are now at our Power CEO segment. Our guest is a board advisor and executive director of the Wallace Business Forum. She has been CEO and managing director and had many awards such as Best Coach of the Filipina CEO Circle, Top Hat Awardee by the Philippine American Business Improvement and Development, among others. So, without further ado, let us welcome Miss Rosario Cajucom Bradbury.
Hi, Jojo.
Hi, Rosario. How
Yeah,
are you?
I have a bit of a sore voice, but magandang madaling araw from California.
Yeah, it's morning. Yeah, must be a bit tulog na ang mga tao dyan.
Yeah, no, gising pa yung aso ko. So, and I'm sorry for my
Okay.
voice. It's a little bit because I went partying for the Cinco de Mayo yesterday. So,
Yeah,
anyways, I
yeah.
hope my voice
That's why.
becomes audible in a while.
No, we can sustain that. Anyway, what's more important is your story about you becoming a CEO. So currently, you are the board advisor and executive director of the Wallace Business Forum. I understand you had a great career progression, no? From telephone operator to CEO in the same company. That is very impressive. Can you share with us briefly how it has been in such a journey when you started at SGS as telephone operator?
Well, thank you very much. You mentioned, first of all, before I answer that question, you mentioned I'm with the Wallace Business Forum. I'm
Yep.
also in the board of the Filipino CEO Circle and at the board of the UCLA Anderson School of Management. Okay. Anyway, so um, first of all, before I became even a telephone operator with SGS, I was doing a lot of other odd jobs also. I was working with McDonald's during
Mm.
my college days, from a crew to a marketing. And even before that, in high school, I was selling palabunutan. Alam mo yung palabunutan, yung bubunot ka, pues may premyo ka.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I was very entrepreneurial. I was also selling life insurance.
Mm.
Yung life insurance na tipong hanggang sa kamatayan, anong
Yeah.
klaseng kabaon ang gusto mo? And I was
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was I was high school right at that time. Anyways, when I joined SGS, it was funny that I was called for an interview and I was with McDonald's at the time in college, and they say, "Are you sure you want to join us? Our only opening is a telephone operator." And I said, "Yeah, okay." I was 21 years old, and I said, "How much is the salary?" And I say,
Mhm.
1,800 pesos a month. I said, sa loob-loob ko ba, mas malaki pa to kaysa sa McDonald's kung sweldo. So why not? At the time, that's very big money already in 1986. So I started there as a telephone operator, but I gave myself a deadline that, I wouldn't be just a telephone operator for a long time. I would progress in the company. Um, so there were a lot of foreigners moving around the office, and there was this foreigner sitting at the corner. I never dreamt to become a CEO, not at all. But I saw this foreigner seated in the corner, leading everybody, and I said, "Hey, one day I want to sit in that chair." I
Mhm.
I was just making a joke. I was in the PABX room, with the telephone operator. You could see that's the type of equipment that we used before.
Yep.
It's a very weird one, and so that's how it is. And then after that, they said, "Oh, would you like to move to the reception?" So I became a receptionist. Okay,
Mhm.
and then I was understanding how the import and export was going. And then later on, they said, "Oh, can you become the telex operator?" I don't know if the young millennials that you have even understand what is a telex, telegram, and a fax machine.
Yes.
So I was doing fax and telex, and then they moved me to be the representative of SGS at the Department of Trade and Industry
Mm.
to explain the import export. And then they
Yeah.
pulled me back. And then they
Mhm.
said, "Hey, Rosario, we want you to become now the executive secretary." And I told the boss, he's a foreigner, he's a white guy. And I said, "I don't know how to type, and I don't know how to do steno." And I said, "You're going to be under probationary." So, I was bored immediately. And then, because as an executive secretary, you have access to all information. So
Yes.
I was so bored. So I read and I read everything to the point that when there's a letter of complaint or a letter to my boss, who's a CEO, I would already draft a letter for him how to answer the
Mhm.
complaint and things like that. So he got so impressed that he decided to send me to Singapore to understand the business even more. So you have to understand, SGS is a inspection testing company. So we
Yes.
inspect and we test and we certify any product that comes in and out of any country and any companies. So we
Yep.
inspect mining, agriculture, industrial, consumer, agri, environmental. So all of that, so we inspect and test. So I learned to understand the business very well. But I was first in charge on the government sector, meaning we were dealing with customs. So in that
Mm-hmm.
customs is anything that comes in the country, we inspect and we give opinion for duties and taxes. So we
Yep.
got exposed on the trades, and then later on we had to pivot the country into a back office. You know the ITBP and BPO, and at the
Yeah.
time in year 2000, the BPO wasn't yet a coined word, but we thought of it in year 2000 and we re-engineered the whole office. So I re-engineered it. I was the leader of that, and I flew in other countries to take the job from that country and move it to the Philippines. I didn't become
Mm-hmm.
very popular because my colleagues in Germany said, "Oh, we don't like you anymore because you're taking our job." But it was like that. But eventually they understood that it was for the company's sustainable future. So we
Mm-hmm.
were the very first Swiss company to be in the back office for the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw, I think, my ability in that sense, and then they said, "We're promoting you to become a CEO." I said, "What? I only know one part of the business. I don't know industrial, I don't know agri, I don't know mining." And they say, "What's important is the leadership." So I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn all the other businesses, but I have very good people under it. So it's a matter of being financially business astute, as you could say. So that's
Yep.
that's has been my career from an executive secretary to a CEO in a nutshell. I've seen the world because of SGS. I've been assigned in Pakistan, in Kazakhstan, Cambodia, in Switzerland, and in Europe, and doing a lot of the work for them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to bore you, but I never dreamt to become a CEO. Never at all. I wanted to become a stewardess or a BBC news anchor, but and I told myself, hey, I may have not become a news anchor, but a CEO. Sometimes it's like you have to be able to speak about the product that they believe that you understand it. So my acting ability has come into play because you
Yeah.
could speak about it and it's believable. But of course you have to have faith and passion and commitment with it so that they would see that you love the company.
Yeah.
So I stayed in the same company for 30 years because at the end of the day my core value is integrity. And
Mm-hmm.
I got attracted with a company because its core value is integrity. And it's the thing that my parents instilled in me is that you never sell your integrity. Because
Yep.
even though you're so good, but you do not have the code ethics of working, you will never succeed for a long term. So I stayed with the same company because we do not sell any product. What we
Yes.
sell is our report is not influenced by government or private sector because we tell the truth about how much duties and taxes you're supposed to pay, the
Yeah.
quality of your commodity that could be internationally traded.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sorry about my voice, but it's like
That's
this.
okay, Rosario. Anyway, I have more questions, but we have less time. So let's go on with our my second important question about you being a CEO, being awarded best coach by the Filipina CEO Circle, top hat awardee by the Philippine American Business and Improvement and Development. And you are mentoring and assisting CEOs to be successful, no, in doing business in the Philippines. You're active in organizations, as you mentioned earlier in the show, and your advocacy. So my question is, how did your successful career journey bring you to this advocacy of mentoring and coaching CEOs?
Thank you. First of all, I'm very passionate in women leadership, women empowering, and having equal opportunity. So I feel that there's so many young women generation that has so much potentials but are so tied up because they feel they don't have any equal opportunity. So, but anyways, since Andre flashed that, I engage myself in organizations that has meaning. What do I mean by that? You see, I've worked with international trade, so
Mm-hmm.
I am very passionate in helping our country, the young generation. So if Andre can just show the next slide first, and then I can go back to that. You know, the Filipino CEO circle. We are all women CEO, but CEO of conglomerates and multinational companies, but not CEO of owning their own company. So that's the difference with the Go Negosyo. The Go Negosyo is they own their own company, while we are CEO of companies that we don't own, but we grew up from rank and file up. Okay. So we are all like minded that our passion is to build a new president or CEO of every organizations because they have the ability. We do not promote women just because they're women for diversity purpose, but because they have the ability. So our passion is to help them maximize their full potential. So that's why I've become part of the Filipina CEO Circle because I believe in its mission in helping the young generation. Now, the other slide, the earlier, Adrian, if you could show that, is the Philippine Swiss Business Council. So, as much as I help the young generation to become the future leader, I also want to help our country to flourish economically. So I am very much involved in bilateral trade relations because I've worked with SGS, which is a Swiss company. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
heavily involved in the Philippine Swiss Business Council. I was a chairman there for 6 years, and now they called me back. Can you serve again in the board? Why I said yes is because we are promoting the Philippine businesses in Switzerland, giving them business matching, and we are trying to attract a lot of Swiss investors into the Philippines. Now, why am I getting myself involved in this? Because it's part of me giving back. Because, you know, having been with SGS on the international trade, I have seen the best practices of countries on how they flourish. And so I thought, why can I not do it in our own country? So I engage myself in bilateral trade relations. But at the end of the day, you start with the young leaders in order to flourish the economy. So at the same time, I coach the young generation, men and women. But obviously, I start with the women being a women empowerment. So that's why I involve myself in these two organizations very actively.
You know, Rosario, I know one of the board of directors in this slide,
Oh,
Mr.
really?
Ryan Brewer.
Yes.
He has been my boss when I was working
Oh,
for this Swiss Filipino company, Swillig Pharma Corporation.
correct. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I call him? I call him Papa Rainer. You know?
Yes, Reiner. Right.
Yeah, and if you would see in our board, we're very diverse. We have in the board is Holcim CEO, okay, and then the CEO of John Clemens, the CEO of Rolex, the
Mm-hmm.
vice president of Novartis, and Rainer Glor with his company, Burlig Pharma, you know, and
Swillig Pharma.
Marcel
Yeah.
Plano with APM Technica. So these are all from Swiss companies, you know, and I forgot to mention the Wallace Business Forum where I am now. Our members are all CEOs, CEOs of Nestle, CEO of Coca-Cola, and and all of those big companies, you know. And our our objective in that one, where I'm on the board, we give them political and economic analysis of the Philippines. Why? So that they would understand and be able to navigate successfully in doing business in the country. So you would see all my advocacies. You know, I'm not paid in Philippine Swiss Council. Huh? nor at the Filipino CEO circle, but because I believe in our country, in helping it, but starting with getting good leaders, ground up, and coach them. So that's why all my life I do this in that essence.
Yeah, fantastic. Miss Rosario, let me move on to the next question. Let's go to the pandemic time. During pandemic, everyone has done a pivot in their career, lifestyle, and many more. What has been the most pivotal change in your personal life and professional life?
You know, there are two things, okay? There are two things I can tell you that has greatly been a pivot in my life. I've been married for almost 20 years. Out of the 20 years, I've only been with my husband under the same roof for 2 years. Thank you to pandemic. Okay. What I mean to say is that in our first 10 years of marriage, I maintained my career in the Philippines as a CEO, and he maintained his career here in the USA. Okay. So we would only see each other only 3 or 6 months. And then I moved to the US. Even though I moved to the US on our 11th year of marriage, I was still going back and forth in the Philippines because of my various board roles. But because of pandemic, I now experience being in the same roof with him for 2 years straight. So you could just see it's like a big,
Blessing.
yeah, a big blessing and a culture shock. Okay? In many
I think
senses.
so.
So that's one. Second is because I cannot go back and forth the Philippines. So I told myself, how can I still help my country and countrymen under this pandemic? So thank you to Raleigh. Raleigh gave me the opportunity to host a show called Talk.Shop.Asia Global USA Edition. You know, the purpose of this is that the theme of that show was about the business world, but it is messaging how we can help the micro and small, medium, and large enterprises bounce back post pandemic. So even though it was still pandemic, I was preparing for the post pandemic. But the people I guessed are Filipino doing business abroad and in the Philippines. So you see, there's so many Filipino doing business here, but they're not so known in other countries. So how do I bring them into international arena? So I partner with a PTIC here, the Philippine Trade and Investment Center, and I got the
Mhm.
list of companies in the US doing business. So I will guess them, and then I will guess Filipinos doing business in Switzerland, Filipinos
Mm.
doing business in Australia, and so I will bring them together and eventually enhance the bilateral trade relations. So you see, I go back to bilateral trade relations, what the Philippines can offer and what that country where they have found a new home can offer to the Philippines and be a, an investor in our country as well. So
Wow, that's truly a noble purpose, Rosario. Yeah. Sorry, I have to cut your explanation. Let me go on to more on the touchy side of Rosario Cajucom Bradbury. In your decades of corporate world and as CEO, has there been a moment that you felt that you are not on top of your game?
you know, there's always a question of work-life balance, as they ask, right? And I do not believe that there's a work-life balance that you can achieve. It is a matter of putting your priorities. So if I could show you the first slide here. So in my 30 years career, the last 10 years was being married with a child. And I've changed my whole priority in my career. You know, I gave birth at the age of 40 years old. And I
Mm.
don't want that my life is just focused on career. So I try to find time. So I try to find time in what sense? Prayer time is a dialogue time with my son. So I made that very consistent. Even though if I am abroad, I will FaceTime him and we will pray the same time before he goes to bed. So if I'm in a dinner meeting in some country, I would excuse myself and do that. Now, do I feel like I was at the top of my game? Honestly, I was still at the top of my game, but I question, have I spent enough time with my son? Because it's work life balance is finding the right priorities at the right time. So I reshuffled every time of my schedule for him. And one time I was going to be a speaker about work life balance, and I asked my son, "Hey, son, do you think mommy has work life balance?" And you know what my son said? "Mom, you rearrange your schedule for me. And that means I am your priority, and that is work life balance." And that is coming from a 7-year-old at the time when I asked him. Now,
Wow.
it's amazing how a kid speaks, how they absorb what they see and how old soul they can be. So he was like a very enlightening to me. If I could show the next slide, another awakening here is that I have asked myself, I've been married like at the time 10 years. Why do I only see my husband every 6 months? I said, what the hell is going on? What is important to me? So I questioned so much that I became sick. I had acid
Mm.
reflux as a CEO. You get all this stress. And if I could show the next slide, and I'll be very honest, I had depression. I never knew I had it. I was on denial for a while. So suddenly I was
Mm.
losing weight. I was also already thin. I was losing my hair. And I couldn't understand my acid reflux. And I realized every time I go to the US, how come I'm more stressed? I was so angry with life. I was so angry. Why is my marriage like that? I question a lot. And I realized I was seeing so many doctors. I was seeing an endo, just to give a camera into my throat. I would see a
Yeah.
eye, ear, nose, throat just to put a camera through my nose. I would see a derma because my hair was falling. I was seeing a neurologist. So I was like in Makati Med 3 times in a week. Three
Mm.
times in a week, huh? So even the security guard there said, "Hi, ma'am. Good morning, doc." Because they thought I'm already a doctor because I'm always there. It's so funny. And and I tell you, I had two doctors for my EENT. Why? Not because I don't trust the other one. I tell you why. One would say to me, "Okay, Rosario, you want to see your throat again? Okay, let's put a camera. Okay, you're okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Go home." You know, and then the other ENT would say, "Oh, Rosario, you're just stressed. Go home, be with your kid." Now, the point is, the other one tells me the emotional side of it. You're just stressed.
Mm.
Go home,
Yes.
be with your kid. But the other one, I'd say, "Can you put a camera?" And you say, "Nothing wrong, go home." My point is that he's straightforward like a CEO, and the other one appeals to my heart. So these two doctors complete me, and they give a full picture for me. Now, my point is, why do I want a camera to my nose? As a CEO, you want answer. Suddenly, I cannot find answer because I cannot see what's in my stomach. What is causing my acid reflux? Until to the point when I see my derma said, "Rosario, do you mind if you see another doctor?" I told my derma, "I'm seeing so many doctors already. Give me one more. Fine. Bring it on. Would you like to see a psychiatrist?" In the Philippines, that means you're a cuckoo if you see one, right? Yeah. And I said,
Yeah.
"Yes, go ahead." So I went to see the psychiatrist, and this psychiatrist is 80 years old, and she only deals with 50 years old and above. And she told me, in 2 days, I was doing all the talking. And I said, "My God, I paid 2,000 pesos 1 hour. and I do all the talking. As a CEO, you feel like, where's the value of my money? you know.
Yeah.
And then on the third talk, I told her, I think I know what I want to do. I'm going to give up my career and go to the US because at least in the mind, I can manage it, but my stomach, my emotional stress, I cannot manage. So maybe I'll go to the US and really deal with this marriage. Shall I divorce him or what? It was like, and then you know what the doctor said to me? Finally, she spoke. Can I give you advice, Rosario? Sure. I said, like, hallelujah. Suddenly, she's giving me an advice on the third session. And then she told me, don't give up your career yet. What do you mean yet? She said, your emotional state is down, your health state is down, your spiritual is down. The only thing holding you now is your job, which you do not have to prove of your social standing. Because if you give that up, you will swirl down faster. So lift up first to resolve this. I'm not asking you to go to the US. Stop living in limbo and deal with your marriage. But first, get your other levels up a little bit. Then we think whether you want to give up your job or whatever. So I tell you, I didn't feel at the top of my game as a corporate. When you have this personal issues, you have to deal with it. On my 50th birthday, my staff, instead of giving me a gift, normally they give parties. They surprised me with a spiritual gift. They sent a priest to my house to
Mm.
bless me. And I was so touched. And I thought the priest was just going to bless me. And he said, okay, Rosario, are you ready for a confession? I said, huh? I've never gone to a confession for a long time. And then when I went to the office, everybody prayed over me and things like that. So it was quite an experience for me. So if I could go to the next slide. So what I've realized here is that life is a transition. You got a beginning and you go up and you try. I became a CEO and I tried. But later on, you rethink your life towards your retirement and as you go down from a CEO, it is as tough as going up because you're trying to find your new purpose. Trying to find your new breath of life. And then you go up again because you found a new, more meaningful purpose in life. So as you go up the ladder and going down, you have to understand so many people you meet along the road, but you only keep people that is non-toxic, those that are also meaningful to your life. So in my next slide, I changed my life direction totally. So I left my corporate world after 30 years and moved to the US. Why? Because I want to give my marriage a chance at the time. So I said, it cannot be marriage like this of every 3 months or 6 months, seeing each other for 10 years. Give it a shot.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work, then divorce. If it works, hallelujah. And then, but eventually I went back to what I believe in doing. I went back to my passion and still managed to observe what will I do with my marriage. So a great pivot in my life that it's not all about work, you know? You got to
Yeah.
find meaning and find balance, priorities in life.
So Rosario, it's hallelujah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Now,
I haven't divorced him, so it's hallelujah.
yeah, that's hallelujah. Now to my last question, Rosario. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you both as a professional and as a person. I see in your social media, in Instagram, and your peg is proud mom of an LGBTQ. How was your reaction when your child came out to be LGBTQ?
It's a it's a very interesting question. It really hits me in the heart, to be very honest. I call my son as a beautiful son. And if I could just show to you the transformation of my son, this is my son, you know. Um, so if I could show, you could see he's my little Harry Potter in the first 11 years of his life. He had so many commercials in the Philippines. He had Nestle commercial, um, Maggie instant noodles and things like that. And then now
Mm-hmm.
he's a self makeup artist. You know, he's a self-made makeup artist. That's him now with those makeup. He's so beautiful. So I call him my beautiful son, and his name is Venus. So when he told me, "Mom, I'm gay," you know, when we moved here to the US, he was still a boy. Okay. And then afterwards, every time I come in and out of the country, he would tell me, "Mom, I want to wear an earring." I said, "Sure, for as long as it's a real earring." You know, I thought he was just going like being a punk, you know, things like
Yeah,
that.
the
And
Siga
then,
type of
yeah,
wearing earring.
exactly. And then later on Christmas Eve on December 2017, and we decided to go to the Philippines for Christmas. And I was in the Philippines, so I picked him up at the airport with my husband. And then suddenly he embraced me at 12 midnight and he said to me, "Mom, I'm gay." You know what was my first reaction? And if I could show the next slide, you know what's my first reaction? "Okay, son, let's get those sperms and store it in a sperm bank because I want to have an apo." You know, that was my first reaction. You know, I'm just like a CEO. Let's get practical. Okay?
Yeah.
Gusto ko
Think
ng
about the
apo.
future.
Yeah. Ang ganda-ganda mo, ang gwapo mo, kailangan mag-continue ang generation natin. So I said, let's get those sperms and store it in a sperm bank. And you said, you know, my son said, "Mom, you're so creepy." And I told him, "I have to remind you, when you were 7 years old, you told me you will give me grandchildren. So this is another way." So, anyways, so that's what my first reaction to him. And then he asked me another question eventually, and I want to show the slide. He said, "Mom, are you disappointed that I am a transgender?" You see, they go to a transition. Huh? First, they think they're gay, and then they realize there's so many spectrum of LGBTQ. So he wears makeup now, he wears a dress, high heel shoes, the full works. So
Yeah.
technically now he's a transgender, cross dresser, non binary, and he wants to be in RuPaul Drag Race to win there as the winner. So he
Mm.
asked me, "Are you disappointed that I'm a transgender?" I said, "No, David, I'm not disappointed because I prayed for a twin and I got what I prayed for. The first 13 years, you were a boy, and then on the 14th year, a girl surfaced. So I had a girl and a boy twin. So I am not disappointed. I got what I prayed for, you know? So I just want to let you know, you ask about diversity, equality in a corporate world. I thought I have prepared myself for this because I manage diverse people in the corporate world. I'm very close to the LGBTQ in our corporate world because I look at them on the basis of their value, of what they can give, of what they can provide in the value with the company, and the company recognizes them. I thought I have prepared myself, but when it is your own son, it is different. I thought I have put all together the policies that would be beneficial for all spectrum of gender, not just the women, but all spectrum of gender and all races. You know, because I come from a very diverse, racial company. And if I could go to the next slide, how I looked at it now, if there is leadership in the corporate world, there is leadership as a mother. I changed my leadership style as a mother when my son told me he is transgender. I have become more overprotective because the world, as you know, sometimes is not kind. Some perspective that we take for granted, like clothing choice. You know, when we speak of uniform for the company, we forget that the gay would like to wear a dress. Let them wear a dress if they want to and wear the dress uniform for as long as it's still the corporate uniform. Let the lesbian wear the male uniform if they want to. So those are those preferences you have to listen. The high heels, the toilet. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. We came back to the Philippines for vacation, and my son was in high heel clogs, in a blouse but in jeans. And then he was like going like this and going like this. I said, "Do you want to pee? Mukhang ihi ka na. Pumunta ka na sa
Mm-hmm.
banyo." And I realized he could not go to the banyo because he's wearing high heels. He cannot go to the men's toilet. I said, "God damn it, come on. I'll bring you to the ladies' toilet. I'll hold you and I'll guard the toilet for you." And that's when I became more conscious that we do not have a toilet in the Philippines that is catering for them. So what he normally looks for is the toilet for the handicap because solo siya.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Yeah.
feels safe there. And he will also ask me, "Mom, I'm afraid to go to church." And at first he was like going like this, her hands. "Why are you doing this? My nails are long and people will see it in the church." I said, "David, they don't care about that. Mom, I know God doesn't care, but the people in the church will look at me bad." You see, and he told me, "I've read the Bible, Mom, and there's nothing that talks about gay there." And what I told him, "Look, David, in heaven, there is no gender. If the Bible doesn't say about gay, it doesn't mean God does not accept you. It's just God's words are not always translated 100% when written by man in the Bible. So I guarantee you there's no gender in heaven. And the Bible speaks of you, but maybe not translated well because it was done decades and centuries ago." So so that's how it is. And I've changed his school and the school that would accept his being artistic. So we totally change school, we change environment and things like that because we want him to feel safe. And then I've realized in the corporate world, have I made our people feel safe? Because now I
Mm-hmm.
felt my son, I felt maybe I did not make them feel safe enough. And it's important to have the emotional honesty. When I say emotional honesty, you must have empathy. When I say about empathy, you have to be curious. Hindi curious na chismosa ka sa concern sa tao mo. Kundi you're curious because you have the emotional honesty to be concerned for their welfare and their safety. Now, to my next slide, I want to tell you when he became gay, our bonding moments, our fashion, and we shop together. And that's me and that's her now. So who wears it best? And my last slide, just to tell you, because I gave birth at the age 50. So if I could show the last slide there, Andrea, I gave birth at the age of 40, 50. And sorry, at the age of 49, almost 50. Sorry, no, I gave birth at the age of 40. My God, my age, man. I gave birth at the age of 40. So he's now 19 years old and I'm 58. So you could imagine we have a clash of hormones, right? He's got a
Mm-hmm.
teenage hormones with cocktail of hormones, and I got a menopause hormones. So a clash of hormones, we always fight, but we always kiss and make up. Because at the end of the day, even though you have an argument, one is a teenager, and clash of hormones of cocktail, what matters most is love. For as long as you love and accept and respect, and you keep that communication, that's very important. So soon, my son and I are going to have a podcast about the relationship of a mother and a beautiful son and how we deal with our everyday lives. Him not just transitioning, but me also transitioning as a mother in understanding what really is LGBTQ and living the life of it every day. So
Wow,
I'd like
Rosario.
I'd like to greet
Yeah.
everybody Happy Mother's Day there.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day too. Yeah.
And for those
Okay.
moms that have LGBTQ children, be open about it, you know? Because you don't want your kid to find another family. You want them to keep the communication and consider you as your first family, not finding another family that will accept them.
Okay. Now, Rosario, I'll reserve the the uh, slide where they will reach you at the final segment because we're pressed for time. So we will play the video and then we'll see you at the Miss Universe question and then for our final segment. Thank you very much, Rosario. Very inspiring.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Maraming salamat. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
The Wallace Business Forum is a 30-year-old think tank that provides a valuable link between the country's top business leaders and the leaders of government. It helps CEOs to understand the environment within which they must operate through a series of publications and meetings that access the business, political, and economic environment and predict where we may go. WBF is considered one of the most authoritative, independent sources of information and assistance in understanding in the Philippines. We tell it like it is.
We'll be right back, only here at Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network.
May lumapit na ba sa'yo na nag-alok ng get-rich-quick scheme? Huwag maging biktima.
Ang Direct Selling Association of the Philippines at ang Department of Trade and Industry ay magkaagapay sa pagpapalaganap ng kaalaman tungkol sa legitimate direct selling.
Mayroong 8-point test na ginagamit upang malaman kung ang kumpanya ay piramiding o hindi. Ang mga sumusunod ay 3 halimbawa mula dito. Inaalok ka na kumita sa mga nire-recruit. Pati posisyon ay pwedeng bilhin. Ang kumpanya ay walang product return policy. Mag-ingat, baka mabiktima.
Kung sa tingin ninyo, pyramid scheme ang gamit ng inyong sinalihang kumpanya, ilapit at i-report ito sa Department of Trade and Industry Consumer Hotline 1384 para sa karagdagang impormasyon ukol sa legitimate direct selling at ang 8-point test. Visit www.dsap.ph.
Malayo ang tingin. Malayo ba ang tingin mo? Sa hinihintay mong tricycle, uwing-uwi ka na ba? Kaya pa ng legs mo. Tricycle hailing app Para Hero is here to serve you. Through the Para Hero mobile app, you can easily book your tricycle ride within your community all day, every day. So whether you're at home, your favorite place, or gusto mo na talagang umuwi, ora mismo, Para Hero app is here for you. Just download Para Hero mobile app in Google Play. Register, it's that easy, and you're ready to book. Para Hero is initially available in BF Homes Parañaque and Las Piñas area. But soon, sa community mo din, malapit na po, Para Hero, para sa pasahero.
Does hybrid learning make you think twice about the way you deliver education? Are you getting charged for a learning management solution, but you don't see the results for blended learning? We at YesTech bring hybrid learning so you can focus on what you do best, to deliver exceptional education. YesTech has proven excellence with features like virtual meetings, attendance, daily tests and exams, assignments and markings between teachers, students, and admin in virtual learning and teaching. But we never stopped improving. With COVID-19, the world came to a standstill and the operations of schools were affected. We interviewed teachers, students, parents, and administrative personnel, and we learned that the delivery of education in the 21st century needed fast and complete learning applications and tools. Now that schools are reopening and students are excited to go to school, our team at YesTech is thrilled to assist in this transition. We bring more excitement to this hybrid learning with our premium platform and features like group study, seamless payment collection of fees, QR-based ID card system, and more, automating day-to-day management of school operations. And we at YesTech aim to rule the edtech space with exceptional customer service, free training and retooling, and pushing the limits. Say yes to learning with YesTech.
Taking our journey, leading the pack, unleashing your power. And we are back here at Talk.Shop.Asia Power Network.
Good more earnings, Business Philippines. Welcome to the final and exciting segment where we will ask our guests a Miss Universe question on their business. So let me call back my co-anchor, Dr. Alex, and my co-host, Joshua.
Great day, everyone. Welcome back.
Yes. So it's now
That's
time for Dr. Alex for our plugging.
Yes, please.
We at YesTech can assist you with your day-to-day operations, offering features like QR-based ID card system, online payments, and more. YesTech is your all-in-one virtual campus of the 21st century. It is a SaaS platform where schools have the ability to deliver a complete learning solution. Basically, we behave like your online school campus. For more information, you may contact 0956-779-7752. Check our website, https://theyestech.com. Say yes to learning with YesTech. Over to
Okay,
you.
Para Hero started as an initiative to help the tricycle drivers in our community gain work during this pandemic. With this app, tricycle drivers won't need to wait so long in line on terminals or drive around the village wasting time and gasoline just to look for passengers. It will also be more convenient for the pasajeros to book a tricycle ride and wait for it at the safety of their homes. Para Hero, your community tricycle hailing app. Initially available in BF Homes, Paranaque, and Las Piñas. Okay, Dr. Alex.
Yes,
Miss
I think it's
you.
time to bring in our guests. Welcome back to everybody.
Great day, everyone.
Hello, everyone. So we'll start. I'll start the question. So maybe Jamie can answer first, and then Netanya, and then Buddy, and last but not the least, Rosario. So, are you ready for the Miss You question? Now that the pandemic is almost over, businesses are grasping for the near perfect ways to execute their back to success plan and achieve their market and success level as it was in 2019. The Miss You question is, if you have the power to make this acceleration possible, what will you do with your business among the choices mentioned here and why? First choice, target and crush the competition. Second choice, do advocacy work and enable the link to your business. And third choice, strategize anew on reinventing the wheel and launch the business anew. So let's start with Jamie.
Hi. Thank you for that question. Parang miss you talaga. So, yeah, so we're not really a business, but yeah, as much as possible, actually, we want to be able to do all three. So I will talk about the second one, and then I'll let Enya talk about siguro the third choice kasi those were the two most important ones for us, the most material ones for us. So for the second one, we want to do advocacy work and enable the link to the advocacy din talaga. Kasi I think everyone is familiar with the kasabihan na ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. And so that means na we need to create links and push for advocacies collaboratively instead of doing it in silos. And so it shouldn't also be limited to just those with privilege, but we need to be able to bring it down to the grassroots level and if possible pa nga, have it have the needs of those who are marginalized as their minimum starting point for all of the advocacies that we have, everything that we are lobbying. And we must really do it together. Hindi pwedeng paisa-isa lang. Kaya ayan, sa 30 by 30, we have the coalition because we do need the whole of society approach for this to work.
Wonderful answer, Jamie. Talaga pang Miss Earth talaga na miss you. And now, kay Netanya naman, over to you. Thank you very much, Jamie.
Hi. So I think the one that really resonated me to begin with was the third one about strategizing anew and then launching like a different way of looking at things and structuring things. And I think coming from someone that really focuses on sustainability management and corporate social responsibility, one of the things that we'll notice is that there's cyclical recessions that happen with the system that we have now. So it's not perfect. And when we look at the impact onto the planet and certain communities around the world in the global south with the current systems that we are doing things, the way we're doing our production and our selling and our consumption and our waste, it's not perfect. So I think we're going to have to look into a more circular way of doing things. Whether you're an organization or a business, it's no shock that this is a conversation that's being taking place right now. So I think we have to re-strategize how we're doing things to make sure that we also prioritize the planet and the people and not just profit. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Netanya. I think it's all about sustainability, really. So let's go ahead and ask Buddy. Buddy?
Yes. Hi.
It's your turn,
Actually,
Mr. Universe.
my answer, I choose number two, advocacy. We're actually doing it now, because ever since before, even before businesses, I've been pushing. I've always wanted to help people, and in big or small, if I can help, I will help. And ever since I've been part of this group, Let's Eat Pare, the food group, um, that's it's a food community consisting of resto owners, foodies, chefs, and all related to food. It's a 450,000 strong member with accredited vendors of about 1,500 resto and food business owners. I've always been pushing tulungan among all of us. So, because I believe that when we all help each other, not just with this business, with in everything that we do, we will all be able. Sobrang Miss Universe ng ano ko, no? Pero that's very ideal, and that's I've been pushing for it. So I believe that if we help each other, we will all be able to uplift everyone, um, whether big or small, and it's gonna help inspire people kasi ang sarap ng feeling to be able to receive help. And for me, it's more masarap if you're the one who's giving out, or if you're the one helping people. It's more it feels better. So that's my advocacy, probably, if pwede, and that's what I plan to do, and that we're actually doing. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Buddy. That's
Thank you.
awesome. It's all about helping and paying it forward, actually. And so let's
Yes.
ask Ms. Rosario. Madam, what's your
Thank you.
Miss Universe answer?
Well, for one, I would not choose first choice because I don't want to kill competition. Otherwise, there's no more challenge, you know? And also is to give others the chance to flourish. But I would choose a combination of two and three. Why? Because at the end of the day, when you strategize, you have to strategy on the basis of your advocacy because they go hand in hand. You know, the thing now, the latest trend terminology is ESG, you know, the environment, social, and governance. What Netanya and Jamie explained is part and parcel of ESG. Because at the end of the day, it's important to protect the environment. It's important that you take care of your people and the community. It's important that you do business with ethical best practices of governance. Already, many investors will only invest in companies if you do ESG. The financial performance now is on the basis of environmental, social, and governance. And talents or people now are very selective on companies they want to be employed. They want to be employed with companies that are very strong on ESG. Especially during pandemic, when the pandemic happened, people resign from their companies and deliberately choose companies to work with that connects to their advocacies, that connects with environment protection, that connects to diversity and equity. And if you don't have that, you do not attract talent to join your company, and you do not attract investors to invest in your company.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much, Rosario. Over to you, Jo.
Yes. Now for the
Yes.
key takeaways, Joshua.
Yes, sir. And so far, I'll be asking three things from you guys. First is what are your key takeaways, your final messages, and your contact details for our audience. So let's start with first with Miss Jamie and Miss Netanya, then Sir Buddy and Mr. Sario. All right. So let's start with Miss Jamie, please. Miss Jamie, your mic, please.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
All right.
So the
Cool.
thing is, our advocacy is really directly linked with policy and timing ngayon kasi we are almost boboto na tayo as Filipinos. So, but the thing is, no matter also how far away we all think we are from the action, a lot politics affects all of our lives, like different aspects of our lives, almost all aspects of our lives. So it's very important for us to stand for what is true, to stand for what is right. And so for our fellow Filipinos, please, gas-gas na, but vote wisely talaga on Monday.
Yes, that's a good answer. Next to Miss Netanya.
Hi. So I think one thing that I think is a great call to action. It's something that definitely motivates me as well is being aware and reminded that saving biodiversity also saves us, and so to be mindful to give back to what's been giving back to us all this time. So yeah.
That's a beautiful answer. I like that one. So, Mr. Sir Buddy,
Hi.
please.
I guess in order to be able to do well, in especially in what I do, is believe in your product and believe in yourself, and always be sincere when you talk to people, and enthusiasm in what you do. Love what you do.
Beautiful answer, sir. Thank you so much. Now to Mr. Sario.
All right. Well, at the stage of my life, it's all about giving back. But what's important to know is that when you give back, you will definitely grow. You will grow. It is through giving back that people grow personally and professionally. And because it's going to be election soon, so I hope that everybody would really go out and vote. And I pray hard for the integrity of the process of our election. Because at the end of the day, this is for our country and for the world. What's happening in the geopolitics, it's affecting trade. But at the end of the day, we got to help our own country buy our own products so that then everybody will win and flourish.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for your wisdom and knowledge. And of course, before we end though, we'd like to ask, how do we reach you, Mr. Sario, and the rest of you guys? How does our audience reach you guys for your advocacies and your projects. And if ever there will be collaborations or any good projects, how do we contact you? Yes. Let's start with Miss Jamie and Miss Netanya.
So we do have a lot of channels where you can get directly in touch with us. First and foremost, if you want to send us an email, you can get in touch personally with us, Jamie at centerforsustainabilityph.org, and then Netanya at centerforsustainabilityph.org. We're also very active in Instagram, so that's 30x30SEA, 30 by 30C. We are also in Facebook and Twitter. And finally, we have our main website, www.30x30sea.org.
Great answer. Then next to Mr. Buddy, Isleta, please. Your contact details, just for our
Um,
audience.
Please, you call or message us at the 0917 863-0107. We have Viber, of course, we have SMS, we have WhatsApp, we have Telegram, and most of the other platforms. And please, you can also reach out to us via our Facebook page, Puro, or at Puro TNT as the username. And you can also reach out to us via our Instagram page at Puro TNT.
Beautiful answer. Thank you, sir. And last but not least, to Miss Rosario, how do we contact you for certain collaborations and projects?
Sure. I mean, with the Wallace Business Forum or wanting to be coached and things like that, or understand international trade, just send me a LinkedIn message or friend me at the LinkedIn. So that's the fastest way to connect me. It's Rosario Kahukom Bradbury. And I just wanted to say one statement just to follow through on what I said earlier. I just want to let you know that I define leadership like this: leadership is all about character. Your character defines you. So please choose the right leader for our country.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So back to you, Sir Jojo.
Okay. I think Rosario already gave her quotable quote, but I will ask again another quotable quote. I will start with Jamie, Netanya, Buddy, and Rosario. Now, the importance of the quotable quote is we will capture that and then we will put that on social media. But before we put that on, you'll get to a chance to edit it. So, for our audience, Jamie, what do you want them to remember you by? Your quotable quote.
Well, the most quotable quote for 30 by 30 would be, I guess, we always have to keep in mind who we're fighting for, what we're fighting for. And it is for all of us, it is for all of our teachers, especially those who are marginalized.
Wow, great.
Good answer.
Natania?
I think I'll just reiterate it's very catchy. I think it might stick well enough. So I think saving biodiversity saves us. So.
Great.
Good.
Mr. Buddy, Mr. Puro.
Hashtag tulungan. Everybody wins if everyone helps each other.
Great. Miss Rosario, your quotable quote for our
I,
show.
I maintain my code, which is leadership is all about character. Your character defines you.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Great.
much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Now, as we get over the pandemic and face new challenges arising from the conflict in Ukraine and Russia, businesses continue to thrive, grow, and scale up. So we as leaders also need to become bigger, better, and the best that we can be. So let us build out these business milestones for our companies. So we lead, amplify, reach out, and engage through Talk.Shop Asia Power Network, where businesses can grow exponentially. This has been Jojo Barakias, your direct selling sensei and anchor for today's episode. See you next Saturday, 3 p.m., for another exciting Talk Shop Asia Power Network episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congrats, guys.
Thank my mom.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Happy
See you in
Mother's
the next
Day,
episode.
Rosario.
Happy
And
Mother's
see you
Day.
Happy
Happy Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day. Yes.
We just brought to you Talk Shop Asia Power Network, the program that is taking our journey, leading the pack, and unleashing your power. Until next Saturday, 3 p.m., watch us in our channels on YouTube, Talk Shop Asia, Facebook, Talk Shop Asia Power Network page, ATC International, Kumu, and Big Media.
Audio Jungle.